Hey YouTube, just wanted to update you on how the rehabilitation and recovery of my ruptured Achilles is going. It's now week 3. You can see, catch up on sort of like what's been happening in sort of the first 2 weeks. I think there's a video up here somewhere, or sort of a link to the previous videos. I'm not going to go into sort of like a recap or anything. The update from this week is that I went into the private hospital here in the UK and saw an orthopedic consultant and got just a second opinion really on sort of my injury and the best course of treatment for me. So went in and sort of he took off the boot and lay on the bed and did the Thompson test. Pumped the calf. I'm losing track of how many people have pumped my calf. And he did a visual inspection of the area where it's torn. A bit of poking and prodding and sort of asking around tenderness and pain, and then really it was a case of me putting the boot back on and just talking to him, and he was comfortable with my preferred route of going non-operative. He thought that was the right thing to be doing, which was good, just to sort of like get that second opinion and sort of like reinforce their own sort of decision, which I've made in my mind. He sort of like we did speak about the full and final outcomes and how the studies suggest that the operative route will give you a very marginally better improved outcome, but I think that in the grand scheme of things it's we're talking a couple of percent here in terms of the actual outcome. And I think that because I'm pretty athletic and fit and active, I think that with the right sort of like approach to rehabilitation and sort of taking it seriously and sort of making time to do it, back myself to sort of like be there or thereabouts in terms of the full and final outcome. So he was interested in sort of seeing the tear in a bit more detail, or the rupture. So he's booked me in for an ultrasound on the same. Actually, it was actually on the same day as when I saw him. So I had to go back and get the ultrasound done. What's interesting is that the Achilles tendon and all tendons, when they break or tear or rupture, it's not like they were cut with a pair of scissors or a knife. It's more like a piece of rope that has been pulled too tight and snaps. And if you think, if you've ever seen a broken or old bit of rope that's frayed, there's different ends, there's different lengths to the fibers and some of them are longer and shorter. So it means that even if you've ruptured it and torn it, you're going to have different lengths of this fiber, of these tendon fibers and stuff, connecting and doing different things. So he was keen on sort of like getting a view over what was going on, and his concern was that because I ruptured it on a Saturday and I didn't get to A&E because I was out of the country until Monday, his concern was that there may have been an issue with the initial recovery, and that I could have a significant amount of scar tissue and sort of like fatty deposits and things like that have got into the in between the two lengths of tendon. So he was keen on sort of getting an ultrasound done. So had that done. The guy who did it, the doctor who performed the ultrasound, wasn't the most sort of communicative. I was asking him lots of questions and really keen to sort of like know what was going on, and he was a bit reluctant. He said that he would I need to go back next week to see the consultant and get the sort of the full sort of analysis done. But what he could tell me was that the rupture is not a complete rupture. There's still some parts of the tendon connected, which I thought was a bit weird. Probably a good thing for me, but ultimately, because I'm returning like a negative result on the Thompson test and my foot isn't moving at all, it indicates a full rupture. But there's a bit of the tendon sort of like hanging on. So it'd be really interesting to find out more about that when I see the consultant next week and sort of like have the full review. He also said that I have torn a bit of my calf muscle, and this is because for me the rupture is up quite high, in that it's more sort of like in where my tendon meets my calf on my injured leg, and I think when it's snapped, it's probably done a bit of damage to the calf as well. So we'll find out more about that when I see the consultant next week. But thought it was interesting. It probably raised more questions than it answered, and it's a bit annoying having to wait a week before you can actually talk to someone about it and get the lowdown on it. So I'll let you know how that goes in the next video. In terms of like other sort of stuff and sort of healing and sort of improvements and things, I am much more comfortable in the boot, really getting around in it. I'm partially weight bearing. I haven't used the crutches for a couple of days now. I still use the knee scooter when I'm around, just to take off the weight and the pressure in my leg. One of the reasons that the Achilles takes so long to heal is because that there's a real lack of blood flow in that part of the body, and I think just keeping off it whenever you can. I can't see that hindering your recovery. You can only see it helping. So for me, the knee scooter, I'm still using it, and if I'm in the kitchen or whatever, I'll take a load off by hopping on it. The boot, I think, like I live in a 2-story house, and the top tip is that when you're going upstairs, lead with your strong leg, and when you're going down, lead with your injured leg. One way of remembering it is that your bad leg is taking you down, your good leg's taking you up, and the same with just steps and getting up and down curbs and stuff like that. Lead with the good leg going up, lead with the bad leg going down, and you can't go too wrong. So I have been sleeping with the boot on, and have been showering with it on, just because I've been really anxious about hurting it and sort of like setting back my recovery. I'm a bit fed up with it, so I think I'm gonna try taking it off and sleeping without it and stuff, because it really does sort of like impact your ability to get a good night's sleep, which can't be good for the recovery really. So I think now that I've got a bit more sort of like mental sort of like confidence around it, I'll look to lose it at night time, just to see how it goes, and certainly sort of like while showering and stuff. But yeah, generally I think that this has been a pretty positive week. Feeling much more sort of like comfortable getting around, happy to sort of like leave the crutches when I'm around the house and stuff like that. I'd definitely take them if I was going out somewhere. Yeah, generally a pretty good week, pain free. But yeah, just taking it easy, and I'll update you next week once I've seen the private hospital and the consultant there, and had the analysis done on the ultrasound. I'll let you know what the view is and what the update is. Until next time, see you later.